Garantir o acesso à música é dever dos gestores públicos e direito de todo cidadão. Fundamental para a formação da sociedade, a música tem muito a dizer e a oferecer a crianças, adultos e idosos. Em diversas partes do mundo, várias discussões e projetos contribuem para a democratização dessa arte. E é sobre isso que nós conversamos com a professora e ativista cultural Catherine Zesserson. Confira.
I think that culture is what creates society. I think we are brought together through the variety of our cultural practices. So I don't think it only makes a better society, I think it makes society. I think the way we engage with culture gives us the opportunity to learn things in different ways. We can investigate our experience, we can make connections with each other, we can inhabit a little bit of an unfamiliar reality or a phenomenon or a practice that isn't comfortable in a safe way. Culture is both dangerous and safe at the same time because we can test ourselves, we can imagine being somebody else in many different ways through our relationship with culture. Music in particular, of course I would say this because I'm a musician, but I think music in particular offers us a territory in which we can fully realize the human condition. Music is a process in which we involve the heart, the mind, the body, we involve the cognitive and intellectual faculties, we involve the emotional and connecting faculties. We can be completely private in our experience of music whilst at the same time being completely social. So I think music gives us a space in which we can really investigate ourselves in relation to the group, the individual in society, the ways in which we compromise and agree and negotiate our model of living.
O acesso à música é um direito de todos e deve ser garantido aos cidadãos através de políticas públicas.
I think the challenge for most politicians, not all, is that they find it difficult to see when money is short or when there is pressure, how to reconcile the direct needs, for example, of health or education or transport or environment or industry. These are very tangible needs that a society manifests to its politicians. How to reconcile those needs with what may look like a less essential need, which is the need for a cultural richness and a cultural tapestry. And I think great politicians get it. And I think for politicians who don't understand that, we have a responsibility as educators, as citizens, and as cultural activists to show why it matters, not to tell them why it matters, but to show them why it matters by examples, by telling stories, by revealing specific instances where we can see how culture transforms society, and not just through the development of the individuals, confidence, creativity, autonomy, but through the way in which it can develop the economy and the social fabric of a place.
Eu sou professora de vários projetos sociais e que vou para os carentes mesmo, por que isso? Porque eu venho de uma família carente, porque eu tive a oportunidade que eu sei que muitos deles não têm. E você vai cortar isso no vídeo. Então, todo concerto tem esse amor, esses parceiros que são todos do quarteto, assim, tem digamos, uma pequena direção nossa, mas na verdade é feito por cada um de nós, por todas essas meninas da produção, todo muito harmonioso, né? Porque todo feito com muito amor.
I've spent most of my working life working in this field of how we can use music as a tool for democratic development. And I've worked in the UK, I've worked a little bit here in Brazil, I'm working at the moment in several European countries, and I've had the opportunity to visit and hear about projects in many other parts of the world. And what really strikes me is the diversity of the strategies and approaches, and the best projects are really designed from the reality of their place, but using inspiration and imaginative ideas from other places. So, for example, in the UK, where I've worked for many, many years, I was involved in setting up a very large organisation in the northeast of England called the Sage Gateshead, and we created a programme of music participation and learning for all ages in our community, ranging right from pregnant people through to people at the end of their lives, with adult education, with programs for elders, for children, for preschool children, with specialist training programs for professional musicians, for music educators, and so on. And the reason we created such a multi-layered program was because we could see a need for that in our community. And we decided that what we wanted to do was express something about music as a human right, as something that everybody can access to improve their own experience of themselves and to make a better contribution to the world. So we used a number of strategies, and I think one of the most useful things we did was we really analysed the needs that were non-musical. So we worked with partners in our state to consider health needs, to consider needs in relation to education, to consider the situation of older people living alone, to consider violence and crime in relation to young people's lives, and to try and work with those agencies that were trying to deal with those problems, and to bring music as part of that set of solutions. So, for example, we ran many music programs for older people, very frail older people in some cases. But we weren't just offering music as an activity to keep people busy. We were offering people music as an activity they could be really good at, because people want to feel successful. So we believed very much that music could be playing a role in the social development of the person and the community, but the person could be becoming a good musician in that journey. And that was very, very important to us, this idea of access to excellence in yourself.
And he used to always sit on the unit with his head like this. He didn't really talk to much people. And then when I introduced the music to him, this is his reaction ever since.
Henry.
Yeah.
Do you like the iPod? Do you like the music you're hearing?
Yes.
Tell me about your music.
Well, I don't have one. I mean,
Do you like music?
yeah, I'm crazy about music. You play beautiful music, beautiful sound,
Did
beautiful.
Did you play music when you were? Did you like music when you were young?
Yes, I went to big dances and things.
What was your favorite music when you were young?
Well, I guess, Cab Calloway was my number one band guy. I liked it.
What's your favorite Cab Calloway song?
Oh, I'll be home there for Christmas. Oh, you can count and plan on me with plenty of snow, mistletoe, present wrapped around your tree. Ow!
What does music do to you?
Give me the feeling of love, romance. Figure right now the world need to come into music, singing. You got beautiful music here, beautiful, oh, lovely. And I feel the band of love, the dream.
Sometimes here in Brazil, I've had conversations with people who expect that in European countries, classical music is more normal in primary schools. It's not. It's not. It's actually something that's quite difficult in primary schools in many countries. I would say in Germany and Austria, because of their traditions, there's probably a little bit more stability of classical music in primary schools, but certainly in the UK, it's a very difficult area. And I know in many countries in Latin America, it's a very difficult area because children are not exposed to it in the normal course of life. And what we know about children is often if teachers tell them to do something, they probably don't want to do it. So we have to be really careful about presenting classical music as a kind of healthy food that you have to eat because it's really good for you. Well, we don't want to eat healthy food, we want to eat sweets. So I think what we have to do about classical music in primary schools is really, as I feel about all music, is we have to start with the music. We have to give children really great experiences of classical music played really well, preferably live and preferably in their school.
Uma das ferramentas que mais tem contribuído para o acesso à música é a internet. Apesar disso, o seu uso traz questões. Ainda há muito que se pensar e trabalhar quando se trata de democratizar a música.
I think it's a little early to tell. I'm not sure is the honest answer. I think we are all learning what it means to use this new platform because it's a platform. It's a technology, it's not content. And so we're working out how do we create content for this platform, or how do we use this platform to connect us through content. And I think it's easy to assume that digital behavior takes people away from live experience. And really, I'm not sure that it does, actually. I think in some cases, maybe it does, but in some cases it can introduce people to live experience. So I think what I always say to educators is use it It's part of the fabric of society. So you have to work out how you can use it to help you with your teaching rather than trying to push it away from the reality. I think people will always want live music because I think something happens physically when we're in the place where the music is that we will always want. Certainly we found in England, they did some research a couple of years ago that actually attendance at concerts is going up in the UK. Not necessarily classical concerts, but live music. It isn't falling, which is a very positive thing, I think. In England, people are always saying, oh, you know, music is like sport. You know, it's very good for everybody and it's team spirit and it's very collective and so on and so on. Okay. It has some things in common with sport, but I think it has much more in common with food. We can't survive without it. And some is more nourishing than others. And sometimes we really like the food that isn't so nourishing. But we can also like the food that's really nourishing. And one person's nourishment is another person's poison. So what we really need to do with food, with children, is we need to help children to have a broad and varied diet. So they're balanced in what they eat, that they understand how to make really good choices about food, that they can make it, that they're curious about it, that they want to find out more, and they want to share it. And I would say the same about music. We need to see that music is part of what we need to survive. It's food for our souls. And so we need to help people to learn how to make choices about it, how to produce it, how to consume it, how to share it, and to feel in control and confident about it so that everybody can access music in the way that suits them. I know it might sound a little bit exaggerated to say we need music as much as we need food. And of course, there are situations in the world where we need food and shelter first. Of course we do. But I'm thinking about the next step of meeting our needs as humans. And I really do think that if we could reorient our public policies so that we acknowledge the centrality of this part of our human condition, many other problems, I think, would start to decrease. Sometimes when I hear about a politician or politicians who do something really terrible, I say, clearly in their early childhood, they were not offered the opportunity to participate in musical play.